But one of the things he's actually touched on that's also very important to me and what I do for all my clients and even people that aren't clients, when I ask the question, what's important to them? Generally, what I tell people is the most important thing to me has to be what's important to you. Because if I'm not focused on your specific individual goal and what your financial goal is, then I'm really not doing anything for you except for trying to make sure your account goes up. And that's kind of cool. So what we try to do is work with people and consolidate ideas to help them meet their goals and also not be a burden to where we see you once a year and generally just take a large check from you and put it in a savings account and okay, bye, we'll see you next year. That's not really what's important to you. So in that team manner, we try to work with you, myself, CPA. We try to make sure that the state attorney is involved at some point to make sure that not only are you keeping your money, but if something happens, that money goes to who you want it to go to. So the first thing we do is sit down, decide what's important to you. Generally speaking, self-employed folks, taxes is pretty high up there, but if that's not it, we ask and make sure we move on to that. What other questions do you all have?
What are some good deductions for realtors?
Oh man, that's a great one. So I'm always
write this down.
legally going to have to tell you to consult a CPA, but I'm unlegally going to have to tell you that I can help too. So when you go through, a lot of what you'll hear are terminology like S corporations, SEP or SEP IRAs from people like me. And that falls in line, generally speaking, when you hit that income threshold of about $72,000 a year. Some realtors, when they first start, might not, and then all of a sudden, boom, they hit that $100,000 a year and they hit that $20,000 tax check they have to write the next year. One way to avoid that and taxes in general is to consult your CPA and say, hey, what is my net income? What did I actually make this year after write-offs? And if you didn't know this, I'm here to tell you, you can actually defer out 25% of that, what you make, or up to $54,000 in a retirement account for yourself later. Now I say $54,000 and people take a deep breath and say, I can't do that. I didn't say you had to, I said you could. So even if you're putting $50, $100, $250 a month into a SEP IRA, take your tax equivalent rate or what you would have paid taxes on that and do the math. If you have a realtor that makes $150,000 a year and is paying 30% taxes, they come in and they write me a $10,000 check, they just save $3,000 in taxes. That's going to be one of the biggest write-offs you can get in terms of investments. So in terms of other write-offs that investors can get through me, obviously if you have a non-retirement account and you do show losses on investments, we can wash some of those investments or sell some of those to show short and long-term losses. But we have to actually be able to see that to make sure we're doing it right. Generally speaking, you can only write off $3,000 a year in investment loss, depending on your income. But those are the two big investment ways to answer your question to write off on taxes. Now, quick, easy math in your head, this is the best way to do it. Take whatever you're making now and multiply it out by about 72%. You can do that on your phones, just whatever I made last year, 0.72. That's about what you really need to have in income and retirement. And you say, well, why? That's less. But it's not. Because right now you're paying into Social Security, into retirements, into Medicare, and into these other environments that you're pushing money into. When you retire, you actually get that back out. So you don't need as much money as you make now to still make the same amount. So if you multiply that amount, 72,000 on 100,000 for easy numbers, and Social Security is paying you 30, we need to figure out a way to produce another $40,000 to make your lifestyle the same so that you don't have to sell your house and change the way you live. And the easiest way to do that is to have $1 million in an IRA, and you'll never run out of money unless there's just a catastrophic apocalypse in the United States.
There's a lot of products out there to look at and do whatever. If you, let's say there's a realtor, they've never done anything, they haven't invested, they just don't know where to start. Do you have a simple product that you recommend for them to go in at first and just kind of work off of?
That's a really good question. And I would say we do. So if somebody came into my office and they're like, hey, I want to be super aggressive, we've got discretionary platforms, which basically means myself and Edward Jones manage those accounts. And you tell us how aggressive you want to be, and we've got something we can plug you into. So yeah, there are preset platforms to do that for you. I've found a lot of my clients want a little more involvement, and so we have something similar that's not the same, a little more customized, but we can also kind of put you into a fund that meets that level of risk you're comfortable with.
What about crypto?
Oh man.
Speaking of
Yeah. So, anybody ever heard of something called Tulip Mania in the news? Do you remember what Tulip Mania was? Google it sometime. It's crazy. And the reason I bring that up is I equate Bitcoin to that. There are these things in history where these products evolve, they come to fruition, and then just as quickly they do disappear. Now, I'm not going to say, because I'm not a speculator in any investment, that it's going to disappear. The guys that maybe kind of invented Facebook came on the news yesterday and said it will be worth 40 times what it's worth today by this time in 2 years. But also they said last year it would be worth 40 times that, and then it went down 120%. Cryptocurrency uses a technology called blockchain. How many of y'all heard that terminology recently in the news of blockchain? So blockchain, just kind of a data mining type of storage technology that basically uses algorithmic technology to best serve the way to pay for and sell for different retail. What they don't tell you in the news is blockchain's actually been around since the late 80s. It's nothing new. It's kind of like those chips on your credit card that they act like were new technology. Europe's been doing it since the 70s. It's not new. And when that technology comes through, for us, one of the first things we're going to look at is security. So in the last 6 months, well over $1 billion has actually been stolen from people in cryptocurrency. 1 billion with a B, just through security flaws. But also, there's over 300 different types of cryptocurrency, and only 40 people control half of that wealth. So when you think about that, 40 people controlling most of the wealth in cryptocurrency, and the rest of us just trying to get the scraps, kind of. The issue with that comes into those folks, if they decided to move their investment in a day, those companies could go away. So instead of speculating on something that you may not understand, I guess my best advice to people interested in that is buy what you know. And if you know cryptocurrency and you're comfortable, still don't put too much in it. Just only put what you could afford to lose all of, because it is that risky. Thank you all very much for having me.